Hello, students. Very good morning. Let's have our new poem from William Blake, who was born in 1757, was a poet, artist, mystic, and philosophic anarchist. He was a learner who had no real schooling. He was early apprenticing to an engraver. His engravings, drawings, his poetical and prose writings all are distinguished by a soaring imagination and disregard of conventional restraint. He was stirred by French Revolution. We must well understand that most of the romantic poets, writers, were influenced by the French Revolution that took place in 1789. That was for freedom, equality, and fraternity. So, William Blake is also one of those romantic poets who were stirred by French Revolution. I hope you have also heard the name of William Wordsworth because you have already read two poems from Wordsworth, The World is Too Much with Us and The Solitary Reaper. So, he was also one of among the romantic poets. You have also heard the name of Shelley, Keats, Robert Southey, etc. These all were the major romantic poets. William Blake is also one of them who is famous for his drawings, his poetical and prose writings, which are distinguished by a soaring imagination. His most widely read poems are contained in Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. This is the major collection of his writings, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. He is less intelligible to common readers because of the mystical. Because his writings are mystical, therefore common readers find some difficulty to understand him. His prophetic writings are that we also call them mystical, like Milton, Jerusalem, and the prose Marriage of Heaven and Hell. These are the mystical writings of William Blake. But his lyrics are simple and direct, and they are charged with intense feeling. So, lyrics are very much intelligible, understandable, and anyone can understand them. And they are charged, they are full of intense feelings and emotions. So, this is what we have a little about the poet, about his life, as well as about his works. Now, we talk about the poem. The poem that we are going to analyze today, written by William Blake, is London. And this poem appears in his Songs of Experience that was written in 1794. So this poem was written in 1794. This poem, that is London, gives Blake's view of that charted liberty on which his countrymen prided themselves. So, in this poem, we have the views of William Blake about the charted liberty, about the liberty that was given to the citizens of England by, by, by a memorandum, by a charter that is written in there in the charter. So, the people or the citizens of England or London are enjoying the chartered liberty and they are proud of it. But here, William Blake exposes, opens up the indisputable ugly facts of modern civilization. He opens up, he exposes which are the ugly facts of modern civilizations through this poem, through London. The child chimney sweeper, the soldier, and the harlot, the three images have been created in this poem. One that is of the chimney sweeper, the second one that is of the soldier, the third one that is of the harlot. These are the types of characteristics victim of a system, and they are all victim of the system, and this system which is based not on the brotherhood but on fear. So they are the victim of the fear of the system or the institution. We must also understand and try to know that all the romantic poets like Blake, like Shelley, they were against the institutionalism. They were against the that time then institutions, authorities that were in power, because these authorities were not behaving equally, were not doing their work truthfully, honestly, and sincerely. Instead, they were imposing the pressures, oppressions, and atrocities upon the people of their country. So, through this poem, we see the anguish that the poet William Blake had, in which he faced the social questions of his time. So he faced the social questions of his time, the anguish, the worriedness, the pain, the anxiety, the concerns about the people, about the citizens are in the mind of this poet William Blake. And through this poem, we will see. Okay. Now let's go with the poem. The beginning lines are, I recite here, I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow, and mark in every face I meet marks of weakness, marks of woe. These are the 4 lines of William Blake's poem London. The poem begins with a general statement about the street and about the river. In the first line, we have chartered street. In the second line, we have chartered Thames. Thames is the river of London. So, the poet is talking about the inhabitants of the great city London. Therefore, in order to observe the conditions of the people of the city, the poet is wandering through each and every chartered street. So, here the poet has also used the adjective chartered for the street. It means the street is also chartered. The street is also enjoying the freedom that he means to say, but in an ironical way. The poet is here speaking in an ironically. Near where the charter Thames does flow, and near this street, near this city, the chartered Thames river is also flowing. So, every street of the city enjoys the freedom guaranteed it to by a royal charter, that is the manifesto of rights. Okay? And the river Thames is also enjoying. That is also imagined as if it is enjoying the same kind of freedom. It is flowing naturally and spontaneously, freely, without any obstructions. The poet says that during his wandering, he observed all marks of weakness and of misery on the face of the persons whom he met. So, in these lines, in these 4 lines, the poet speaks about the chartered streets, he speaks about the chartered Thames, he is making a wandering through these streets and nearby the Thames river. But what he finds? He ironically says that these streets and Thames river is enjoying the freedom, the pleasure of the freedom that was assigned by the charter or assigned by the manifesto, royal manifesto. But what I see, he says, but I see in every face, in the face of every citizen that I met, the mark of weakness and marks of that they are suffering. There is the mark of sadness, there is the mark of weakness, misery, anxiety, problems on their faces. The meaning is here that the people of England are in fact very unhappy and they are apparently enjoying the freedom. Actual freedom has not been given to them. Because if they are not happy, if they are full of misery, if they are in anxiety, it means there is no freedom at all. In the next lines, we will see, in every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every vein, the mind-forced manacles are here. So now he describes the grief, the pains, the tortures, the marks of the weakness. He is observing. In every cry of every man, he observes the marks of the weakness and misery. In every infant's cry of fear. Every infant, every child is crying because of fear. Not because for milk, but he is crying, he is weeping in fear. In every voice, the poet says that I see that every voice is banned. It means there is no freedom of speech. Every voice is banned, restricted, oppressions. The mind forced manacles here. So the poet says that he only hears that the people are imprisoned in chains and they have forced for themselves, they have put themselves in the chains, in the restrictions. So in these lines, the poet criticizes the authority which has controlled the minds of men. He sees that everyone is crying, every child is crying in the fear, every voice has been banned, the chains and fetters have been imposed upon the people by those who are in the authority, and men are now imprisoned in the chains they have forced for themselves. So the poet here in these lines concludes that all the problems, all the miseries are due to the society or the authority or the oppression that is being imposed by the authority. It is the creation of man's mind. The problems, the miseries are the creation of the man's mind. He says that every street of London is tied with the charter. Everyone is tied, connected with the charter, and his area is limited as of the Thames River. So the area of the Thames River is limited in the same way. The area of the charter is also limited, but everyone is stuck to that charter. And it is due to the social injustice, not because of the condition of the society, that every man is in misery. Every man is unhappy because of the social injustice. It was not because of the condition of the society. This is what the poet here wants to say in these lines. Now come to the next lines of this poem. I speak. How the chimney sweepers cry. Every blackening church appalls, and the hapless soldiers sigh. Runs in blood down palace walls. So, in these 4 lines, the poet gives the example of the operations done by the authorities or the societies. They are the dictator. And the people, the citizens of the city are in misery, full of pains. So he gives some examples. He gives the example of the chimney sweepers. He gives the example of the soldier's sigh. And in the last stanza of this poem, we will see another example that is about the harlots. But here in these lines, during his wandering in the city, the poet finds pains, sufferings, poverty, and misery. And now here he points out how the humble members of the society suffer. Like he hears the cry of the chimney sweepers. Chimney sweepers are those who cleans the chimneys. That is a very dangerous work. But these children are used to clean these chimneys. And that is totally the atrocity. That is totally the abolition of the Child Safety Act. The children are put into the risk and in the danger zone. So the children, the chimney sweepers are crying according to their custom. Then the poet also sees the blackening church. The church is also get dimmed, blacked, because of the impious act that is being done in the church. So the church is here also not supposed to be pure according to the poet. He says that blackening church and imagines that the churches are turning pale with shame and pity. So these churches are turning into paleness, into dimness because of their impious acts, because of their shameful acts, and therefore they are also for pity. Then the poet hears the sigh of the unlucky soldier who has lost all his hopes of his life, and he has been punished by the God. So the soldier is the very important person for any country. He sacrifices his life for the sake of the country. But what's happening in England or in London? That he is also weeping and crying because all his hopes of his life have lost. He has been punished for the wrong acts. He has been accused without any evidence. He has been accused of the sins or the crimes, whereas he has not done. So here the poet means to say that every kind of person in this city is suffering, is in misery, because the authority is injustice, not paying the correct attention, right attention towards its citizens, and they have just given in their hand the charter, you enjoy the liberty. But in fact, the real liberty is not there. Okay, dear students, in the last 4 lines of this poem, we have what the poet says in the continuation of his ideas that he has spoken earlier. But most through midnight's streets I hear how the youthful harlot's curse blasts the newborn infant's tear and blights with plagues the Mary's hairs. So he says that in the most of the streets, when I wandered in the midnight, I heard how the youthful harlots are the prostitutes, how they are cursing, how they are crying, how they are weeping, how they are cursing their lot, their fortune. Blast the newborn infant's tear, as well as they are also giving birth to the newborn infant's children. So they have been facing the problems in this society. No society, no persons are accepting them, and they have also given birth to the infants. How can we imagine that these children will be accepted by that society? And blights with plagues the Mary's hearts. Because of the marriage hearts, because they cannot marry, they are the harlots, they are the prostitutes. Even then they have given birth to the children. So the children are without their father, without their parents, so they will suffer the sin. So this is what we have in these lines. Okay, let me revise the meaning of these lines. These last 4 lines. When the poet wanders through the streets of the London at midnight, he hears the cries of the young harlot whose calling is forced on her by the marriage laws. Marriage laws have been forced upon them. And Blake in this example contrasts natural happiness and unnatural repression. So the natural happiness is something other. This is in fact the unnatural repression and oppression that is being done by the authorities or by the laws of the country. It is important that the harlot is youthful, for it suggests that the newborn infant is itself not so far from the condition of the whore. So they will also, these children which have been born by these harlots will also get the same life, will also be plunged into the same darkness in which their parents were. So her curse is not only what she shouts against society, but the disease. She is crying for the disease that she is certain to succumb to, that she has taken in it. So the misery of the people of London is not simply discomfort, but it is death following disease which cannot be cured, and this disease cannot be cured because it is neither acknowledged by the society nor understood to be fundamental to the society's disabilities. Therefore, these harlots or these part of the society is facing the crucial condition in the country. In this way, dear students, the poet has given a scenario of the city London through this poem, and the, the tag of the charter of the freedom that has been given in the hand of the citizen is only arbitrary. It has nothing to do with the conditions of the people. The people of the country are suffering, they are tortured, they are not given the justice as well. I hope you will enjoy this poem. We have one more poem by William Blake. In our next video or lecture, we will discuss that poem. Till then, dear students, thank you very much. Bye bye.